Have you ever stared at a problem that's just so big, so complicated you have absolutely no idea where to even start? Well, today we're going to break down a really powerful four-step method that you can use to solve just about anything. This isn't just about data, it's a whole new framework for thinking. Let's get into it. So, here's the secret. You have to stop thinking like you're in a classroom, looking for one single right answer. Instead, you've got to start thinking like a detective, right? A detective doesn't just guess, they gather clues, they look for patterns, and they build a case based on solid evidence. And for us, those clues, well, they're data.
And that's really all data analytics is when you strip it all down. It's just the formal process of being a data detective. It's about taking all that raw information, all those clues, and figuring out how to uncover the story that's hidden inside. Because that story is what ultimately helps you crack the case.
Okay, to see how this all works in the real world, we're going to tackle a little mini mystery together. It's a problem I'm sure we can all relate to. A school is noticing that, hey, a lot of our students are showing up late. So, let's put on our detective hats and use these 4 phases to figure out exactly what's going on.
Every single good investigation starts with a solid foundation. You don't just rush out and start grabbing clues left and right. First, you have to really understand the crime scene. And in the world of data analytics, that's phase 1, defining the problem.
Now, the most important thing to get here is that we are not looking for answers yet. Nope, we're just trying to ask the right questions. It's all about getting super clear on what it is we're actually trying to figure out before we waste a bunch of time chasing down the wrong leads.
So for our school mystery, this means asking some really basic stuff, like how many kids are we even talking about? What's the official cutoff for being late? Is it 1 minute past the bell or is it 5? Are they late every single day or just some? And honestly, why does this even matter? Answering these questions first is going to shape our entire investigation.
You know, a great way to think about it is like this. You wouldn't just dump 1,000 puzzle pieces on the table and start trying to jam them together, would you? Of course not. You look at the picture on the box first to see what you're building. That is exactly what this discovery phase is. We're just looking at the picture on the box. All right, so now we know what we're looking for. It's time to move on to phase 2, gathering our clues or, our data. But here's the thing about real-world data. It is almost always messy. It's inconsistent, and it usually needs a bit of a cleanup before it's actually useful.
This is what we call the data preparation phase. Look, it's not the most glamorous part of being a detective, I'll give you that, but it is one of the most important. You have to organize your files, you got to standardize the evidence, and make sure everything is reliable. Because if your clues are bad, your conclusions are going to be bad too. Simple as that. Okay, here's a simple but really critical example. Imagine you're looking at attendance records. If one student, let's say Samantha Jones, is in the system 3 different ways, well, your computer's going to think she's 3 different people. Cleaning the data just means standardizing it, so Sammy Jones and S. Jones are all correctly counted as one person, Samantha Jones. Exactly. You can't build some epic Lego castle if half your pieces are missing, or they're mixed up with another set, or they're lost under the couch. Data preparation is all about getting your bricks sorted out and ready to go before you even start building. Okay, so our problem is defined, and our clues are all clean and organized. Now what? Well, we don't just start running random tests. A good detective always has a strategy, and that brings us to phase 3, planning the analysis.
This phase is all about deciding on your game plan. What techniques are you going to use to examine the evidence? What kind of patterns will you be looking for? What comparisons are you going to make? You're basically outlining the step-by-step of your investigation before you dive in.
So, for our school lateness case, our plan of attack might look something like this. First, let's compare late arrivals by the day of the week. Is there a worst day? Then, let's check if certain grades, like maybe 9th graders, are late more often than seniors. And finally, let's map out where the late students live and see if distance has anything to do with it. This is the perfect analogy for this phase. You've got all your ingredients prepped and measured out. That was phase 2. Now you have to decide, are we making cookies, a cake, or bread? You choose your recipe, your plan, before you start mixing anything together. And now, this is the moment we have all been waiting for. We've got a clear question, we've got clean data, and we've got a solid plan. It is time to execute that plan and solve this mystery in phase 4, finding the answer. This is the action phase. This is where you actually run your tests, you create your charts, and you follow your recipe. It's that part of the movie where the detective finally puts all the clues up on the board, the patterns start to emerge, and you get those big aha moments. And here we go.
We run our plan, and a chart just like this one pops out. And it is telling a very, very clear story. It's not just a little worse on Mondays. It is dramatically worse. A whopping 85% of all late arrivals for the week happen on Monday. This, my friends, is our smoking gun.
And by following through with the rest of our plan, we get our final answers. The vast majority of lateness happens on Mondays. Our mapping shows that, yep, kids living farther away are affected way more often. And when we cross-reference that, we find the real culprit. One specific bus route is consistently running behind schedule, especially on Mondays. The case is cracked.
And there you have it. You follow the recipe, you put the cookies in the oven, and now you get to see and taste the results. This is the big payoff for all that careful preparation and planning we did earlier.
So we solved our school mystery. But this framework, this way of thinking, it isn't just for data scientists or school administrators. It's a really powerful way to approach pretty much any problem you have in your own life.
So, what's the big takeaway here? It's this simple 4-step loop. First, discovery. Really understand the question. Second, preparation. Get your clues in order. Third, planning. Choose your recipe. And fourth, execution. Do the work and find your answer.
Whether you're trying to figure out why your monthly budget just isn't working, or why a big project at work keeps falling behind, or even something as simple as why your houseplants keep dying, this method of thinking can bring so much clarity. So the real question is, what mystery are you going to solve first?